26 centuries ago, the prophet Yechezkel had a vision. Now at first it must have been like a terrifying nightmare, as it was the sight of the Jewish people reduced to a valley of dry bones. But God asked, shall these bones live? And Yechezkel saw them come together, take on flesh, and begin to breathe and live again. And in this vision, which is one of the Haftorahs that we read on Pesach, God promised Yechezkel that he would open his people's graves and bring them back to the land of Israel. But we have to ask, what is the significance of this prophecy, and why do we read about it on Pesach? Well, the Kuzari explains that the reason that God performed this miracle through Yechezkel was to give strength and encouragement to the Jewish people who had just endured a bitter exile and the destruction of the temple. By seeing how these dry bones came to life, the people would realize that they too shouldn't lose hope for their eventual redemption and new life. And at the same time, as we have a tradition that the resurrection of the dead will take place on Pesach, the record of an earlier example of this miracle is appropriate subject matter for this time of year. Friends, with the current coronavirus crisis surrounding us, with isolation, illness, and death, we too need to find inspiration and hope. So let's look again at the Seder and a fascinating insight from the Nesiva Shalom. Now, as we know, we're required to see ourselves as having left Egypt, which means that it's insufficient just to recount how our ancestors exited from slavery. The story has to take on a personal aspect. We have to see the Exodus happening not in the past and to them alone, but every year to each of us, now and in the present tense. But what aspect of the Exodus do we have to experience? Well, says in the Nesiva Shalom, the Jewish people in Egypt not only had faith in the existence of God, but they also believed that God would redeem them from their slavery. And it's this faith that we have to find within ourselves. The belief that the Exodus wasn't just a one-off event that took place over 3,000 years ago and is consigned to history, but that each subsequent Pesach, we must believe in the immediate potential for our redemption. We must never lose hope that we too will merit a new life. And in the meantime, let's remember that although we may be physically on our own, we're never truly alone. As we celebrate this Man Cheruseinu, this season of our freedom, together with Jewish people everywhere. Eva and I wish you and your family and the whole community a Chag Sameach.